Hi again, everybody. Enjoy English School, Part 2, or Day 2, of the Hamamatsu Festival talk. This is a celebration very, very famous in Japan and known throughout here in Asia, known by many in many countries. Kite flying is quite popular in many countries. When I was in Indonesia, I was surprised by how many people, especially, what is that island?
Java?
Well, yeah, Java is where most of the people live, but the small island off the southeast coast, it's a Buddhist island, and they have that tradition. You can see kites every day. They don't need an occasion. Well, anyway, in Japan, we learned from yesterday's talk that in one part of Japan, 400 years ago, a child was born to the lord of a castle, and in celebration of that event, the family arranged for a large kite to be flown across the sky to announce the birth of probably his first son. And since that day, it became more and more popular, more and more people. You didn't have to be a king or a prince or a lord to do it. If you had the birth of a son, you would prepare your own kite and go out and fly it.
没错，所以老师最开始的时候呢，先介绍一下，在这种放风筝呢，在亚洲其实很流行。他当初呢去印尼的时候，就有机会在看到很多人在放风筝。巴厘岛，在巴厘岛的时候，他就看很多人在放风筝，然后呢就觉得不见得一定要有特别的节庆。然后接下来老师给我们做了一个简单的摘要昨天所提到的内容。当初呢在放风筝这个冰松祭呢，是因为在冰松这个城的这个城主领主呢，他生了第一个孩子，到后来呢放了这个风筝，让大家知道我的孩子出生喽。好，到后来慢慢，很多人就照着学，然后在400多年前一路到现在都保持着这个传统。
The Hamamatsu Festival. At the start of the Hamamatsu Festival, groups of men and women in traditional coats gather as if they are preparing for war. The air is filled with the sounds of people playing trumpets and banging on drums. After an opening fireworks ceremony, the kites will make their first flight. Teams run across the field holding the kite's cords in their hands, using the wind to quickly help their kites sail high into the sky. This represents how children grow from tiny beings to become big and strong. There's no fighting on this day, as it's bad luck to attack kites during their first flight. The battles take place on the morning of the final day, when experts try to skillfully cross lines and knock other kites out of the sky. Although kite battling is an important part of the Hamamatsu Festival, the true purpose of the festival is to bring people from different neighborhoods closer together. This becomes clear during the beautiful evening parade. The audience watches as large floats travel across the streets. Girls will often ride on the floats, playing traditional Japanese songs. The music of the children brings the city to life before the festival comes to an end.
Okay, now let's look at our text, our content. At the start of the Hamamatsu Festival, groups of men and women in traditional coats gather as if they are preparing for war. Now, wait a minute. Isn't this to celebrate the birth of a child? It should be a happy... Well, we also learned from yesterday that over time, a tradition evolved or came to pass where people would not only make their own kites, but fly them and try to eliminate other people in a contest.
没错，所以来看到这边的话，你会想起我们昨天在最后一段的时候有提到说他们有斗风筝的活动，对不对？所以感觉上慢慢这个节庆有增加一些其他不一样的元素在里头。我们看第一段的第一句话，你看到 At the start of the Hamamatsu Festival， 在这个冰松季一开始的时候呢，Groups of men and women in traditional coats， 好 ，in traditional coats 就是他们穿着这种传统的服饰，男男女女啊，不同的这种一对一对的啦，哈 ，gather as if they are preparing for war，as if 就是指仿佛似乎要做什么事情一样，好像他们要准备上场打仗一样，穿着传统服饰，在这个冰松季。
The air is filled with the sounds of people playing trumpets and banging on drums. Well, in many countries, drums are used in the military to excite the soldiers and to announce that, we're here. Let's get it on. That's why we say the air is filled with. The air is filled with air, but it can be filled with the sounds, different sounds as well.
没错，所以这边的话，你就看到，好，当时看到男男女女，视觉上你有看到说，哦，好多男男女女穿着传统服饰，仿佛要打仗，对不对？我们下句话就是听觉上了 ，the air is filled with the sounds of people playing trumpets and banging on drums。好，它变成是你会听到非常非常多的这个人哦，在这个吹着小喇叭的声音，还有呢这个打着鼓的声音，感觉上就是好像要出动了，好要开始出阵的那种感觉。
After an opening fireworks ceremony, the kites will make their first flight. So the ceremony starts with, it opens with firecrackers, fireworks, skyrockets. There are a lot of different words for those. That's when the kites will be flown and shown, and it's all right, we're ready, let's go.
没错，所以这边的话，你会看到这个开幕仪式很热闹，对不对？这句话说 After an opening fireworks ceremony， 这个 fireworks 就是指烟火的意思。好，他们有什么烟火，那种放个烟火这样。只是这比较特别的是，多半复合名词呢，就是名词加名词的时候，前面那个名词通常会是单数的，但这个字比较特别 ，fireworks 它会加上 s， 然后再接后面的 ceremony。它的这种复数名词的这种形态比较特别，前面的名词也是用复数的 fireworks 加 s 的情况，在开幕的这个烟火放完了之后呢 ，the kites will make their first flight， 好，就开始很多的风筝呢就开始出动了，这样。
I think we use the S in fireworks because it's a group of different things together. All right, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to get into battle. Okay, teams run across the field, holding the kite's cords in their hands, using the wind to quickly help their kites sail high into the sky. It's really a lot of fun if you're good at kite flying, and if the weather is good for kite flying. You can hold a kite for hours if you want to. In fact, you don't even have to hold it. You can tie it to something and it will take care of itself. But it's more fun to fly, of course. Now that string, here we call it a cord. The difference is a cord is thick and heavier than string. String we use to wrap presents, for example. But a cord is more like a telephone cord, if you have the old telephones like me. Using the wind to quickly help their kite sail high into the sky. It won't do it by itself. It does take a little bit of talent and practice to get your kite high in the sky.
没错，所以这边的话，我们来看这句话哦。他说 ，Teams run across the field。好，你必须要先奔跑一段嘛，对不对？好，要让这个风能够带着这个风筝起飞。So holding the kites cords in their hands。老师刚刚特别解释一下 cord 这个字的用法。我们之前有看过 string，string，string 这个字。string 的话，这个线是比较细的。 如果是用 cord 这个字的话，那个线是比较粗的。老师还举了一个例子是 telephone cord 啊，多半的话我们现在都用手机没有错，但是老师的话是用那个以前那种传统的电话，那个电话线不是比较粗吗？那种粗的线就叫做 cord。好 ，cord 这个字使用，他们会拿着这个风筝线，比较粗的风筝线 ，using the wind to quickly help their kites sail high into the sky， 就利用风的这个力量呢，很能帮助他们的这个风筝快速的在高空中翱翔。
Okay, this is what we have just described about preparing and flying your kite.This represents how children grow from tiny beings, babies, to become big and strong, like adults.
好，所以这句话呢，他就告诉你说，为什么要让风筝这样哗这样起飞呢？这代表了 this represents， 好，这个字 represent， 好，意思就是指这种代表着什么什么的意义。好，在这边的话 ，it 是那个主词嘛，所以我们说 it represents how children grow from tiny being to become big and strong， 就是小朋友从小小的很弱不禁风的样子，慢慢长成一个非常非常棒的就是身体很身强体健的一个大人。
There's no fighting on this day, as it's bad luck to attack kites during their first flight. Well, that's interesting. I like that idea.You're safe the first day, so you can get used to your kite, or if you're a new kite flyer, learn how to do it. Otherwise, it is considered trying to fight with another kite flyer on the first day is considered bad luck. Don't do that, because the kite should not have to fight on its first flight.
没有错。所以这边的话还有特别注意的事情，说哇，我要斗风筝，没有。我们首日我们开幕日的话没有在斗风筝的，我们先让风筝展翅高飞。所以这边他告诉你说 ，There's no fighting on this day。好，在这一天是没有斗风筝的这种活动的。As 这边的 as 帮我把它圈起来，就是 because 的意思，是因为什么呢 ？It's bad luck to attack kites during their first flight。在这个风筝首次起航的时候，就开始去攻击其他风筝，会带来这种厄运，所以大家都不会这样做。
The battles take place on the morning of the final day. Now, I think we mentioned this is a 3 or 4 day holiday.
3 day.
So on the third day, that's when, all right, come on, show me what you've got.
Yes.
The morning of the final day, the last day of the holiday, when experts, they know what they're doing, they've had years of practice, they've probably built their own kites as well.They try to skillfully cross lines. If you cross two things, they're separate, but then they meet like this, like roads. Roads crosswalk. You go across the street, or streets will meet, and that's where they cross. And if you do this skillfully, you do it well. After all, these are people who have been doing this for a long time, and they love what they're doing. And...The purpose? Knock other kites out of the sky. Cut their strings and watch, as they fall down and you win.
没错，好，在这里他就告诉你说，那你说你最关心的这种斗风筝是什么时候呢？不要忘记了，它是从5月3号一路到5月5号，所以3、4、5，它是在最后一天 on the morning of the final day， 也就是今天，对不对？今天的早上，今天就5月5号啦，不是吗？今天就是日本的儿童节嘛，他就说了，这场比赛呢，就是在5月5号的早上开始举办。When experts try to skillfully， 他们这些很厉害的风筝高手呢，就会很有技巧的 cross lines， 好，跟其他的风筝呢就是缠在一起，然后呢 and knock other kites out of the sky， 然后把他们斗垮，让他们的风筝的线断掉，然后之后就哈哈哈 loser。
Okay, that's it for this paragraph. Let's take a short break and then continue and finish our day 2 article.Oh, welcome back. Now let's get going. Although kite battling is an important part of the Hamamatsu Festival, the true purpose of the festival is to bring people from different neighborhoods closer together. That should be the idea behind every holiday, I think. It's not just you, it's not just your family. We all live in social groups, and the more people we enjoy being with, the more peace and prosperity we will have.
没错，所以在这一段里面就告诉你说，所以说冰松记呢就是来斗风筝的，对不对？不是哦，真正的目的是什么？是要凝聚社群嘛。我们来看第一句话你就更清楚喽。他说 ，Although kite battling is an important part of the Hamamatsu Festival， 虽然呢在斗风筝这里面，在冰松记里头，斗风筝是一个非常重要的一个活动啊。The true purpose， 好，看到了。真正的目的 of the festival is to bring people from different neighborhoods closer together. 好，真正的目的是希望把所有不同地区的人慢慢凝聚起来，用这样的方式，透过节庆的方式凝聚在一起。
Now you may think if a lot of people are trying to compete with each other and there will be winners and losers, maybe this is not a good way to do it, but this becomes clear.The idea of the Hamamatsu Festival bringing people together from different areas, this becomes clear or easy to understand during the beautiful evening parade. A parade is a group of people doing different things, usually marching or maybe walking, but along a street or across a field, celebrating.And sometimes you can join in the parade if you like.
所以你看到接下来这句话很棒哦。他说 This becomes clear during the beautiful evening parade. 老师刚刚介绍了 parade 这个词就是游行嘛，多半都是呢，可能大家有不同的打扮啊。有的女生的话，可能打扮得非常花枝招展，或是说看起来很漂亮，把不同地方的一些服饰的特色啊展现出来等等，这就是 parade 游行。你可以想象哦，我们中文不是有一句话讲到不打不相识吗？早上的时候大家来斗斗风筝，哎呀，你把我风筝斗倒了。但是晚上的时候，大家好好来欣赏一下彼此不同社区里头呢各自的特色。其实我觉得是一个非常棒，最后一天这种收尾一个很棒的一个方法。
The audience watches as large floats travel across the streets. The people who are not in the parade walking with each other along the street or across a field, they are the paraders, but the people watching them, they're called the audience. And they watch large floats. A float is a specially designed, beautiful artistic creation. There's a car, and over it, you can't see the car anymore, except for the window where the driver is. They put and make beautiful things. Football games in the United States will have beautiful parades, especially at the end of the football season. Just as this is the last evening parade, or before some of the more important football games are played in the United States, they also have a parade, not with kites though, but with flowers, dancers, and so on. New Orleans is another place where floats are very, very popular. And of course, we're in Japan, so in the next sentence we see the floats play music. They play traditional Japanese songs. Girls will be on the float and they sing songs. That's how they participate in this parade. There might be dancing on another float. There might be people throwing candy into the audience and so on. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this in movies. Many countries have parades with floats.
没错，所以这边的话，老师解释一下 ，floats 就是指花车的意思。如果在游行的话，可能会有游行的队伍啊，有人呐，好，甚至呢还有一些很漂亮的花车。所以这句话呢还要提到说了，他说 the audience 就是指旁边这些观赏游行的这些人呢 ，watches 好，他会去看。As large floats travel across the streets， 好，然后看着这些美丽的花车呢，这样子慢慢的在他们眼前走过。
And we'll repeat this next sentence. Girls will often ride on the floats. We say to ride in a car, but ride on a float, playing traditional Japanese songs. Now, if they're playing, that actually means using musical instruments, but that doesn't mean they're not also singing.
OK， 所以这边的话，他告诉你说 ，girls 日本的女孩呢 ，will often ride on the floats， 会坐在花车上面 ，playing traditional Japanese songs， 他们会就是演奏，或者是可能是演唱，不一定但是至少是演奏这种传统的日本的这种歌谣。
The music of the children brings the city to life. When many children are together and they're playing happily, it's music to adults, and the city or wherever this is held is going to have the sounds of happy children. Who could complain about that? Before the festival comes to an end, all banquets must come to an end. All parades must come to an end too.
OK， 所以这边的话呢，他就告诉你说，这些孩童啊，突然出来这些游行队伍啊，还有一些日本的这个女孩，都是象征那种生命力，然后年轻的孩童，对不对？这些孩童所带来的音乐呢，也为了这个城市带来很多很多的生机、生气。好 ，Before the festival comes to an end， 然后呢，完美的在这个节庆完美结束之前，让整个这种城市生意盎然的感觉。
Okay, that's it for the explanation of Day 2's material. After a short break, we'll give you some vocabulary practice. Okay, let's finish up with, as we usually do, a vocabulary review. Our first item is as if. This is a construction in English.When you want to say something appears to be one way or is similar to something else, but it isn't.
OK， 所以说 as if 的时候，在使用的就是仿佛好像，就是很像 it seems that， 但事实上它当你在使用的时候，其实多半是表示说它其实并不是这样子。
Number 2, bang is a loud sound.
Bang 就是那种 bang 这样一声，就 bang on drums， 好，就是敲的这个鼓这样子。
Number 3, cord, if you remember, is a thick or heavy piece of string.
Cord 就是比较粗的那种线，那细的线我们用 string 这个字。
Skillfully, the ly tells us this is probably an adverb. Ful tells us that skillful is an adjective. So skill is a good ability to do something.And if you can do something very well, you are skillful. And how do you do it? You do it skillfully.
没错，就是很有技巧地做什么事情，来自于 skill 技巧这个名词的变化。
Number 5, neighborhood. Neighbor refers to someone who lives near you. Your neighborhood refers to the area that you feel is...You know, that area is where I live.
Yeah, 所以 neighbor 这个字的意思是指邻居。我们看到现在这个字 neighborhood 就是你所住的这个地区，我们叫 neighborhood.
And it's important to remember that's not a whole city. It's only going to be a small town or even part of a town or a part of a district in a big city. It's not a whole city. All right, number 6, parade, a group of people who have a purpose, usually to entertain or celebrate by marching together and doing fun and happy things.
没错，就是游行的意思。
Audience, we are the audience if we look on to a parade or if we watch a movie. People who are not doing anything, but they're watching something.And hopefully enjoying it.
没错，就是观众的意思。如果你现在是在这个 YouTube 上面看我们的话，你就是我们的观众。
And our final item, bring something to life, is to make something exciting. For example, a field of grass. Well, that's nice. But if a field of grass has a parade moving across it, wow, you bring the field to life.
没错，所以 bring something to life 意思就是让这个地方充满了生机，让你感觉上那种非常非常多的那种动能，或者是希望，或者是那种感觉上很有生命力。
Okay, that's it for the 2-day lesson on the Hamamatsu Festival. I hope I can make time next year to go to Japan and enjoy this. It sounds like a good time.
没错，好好玩呢。
Until our next time together, bye-bye.